Well, let's get started. And our top focus today in India. What is the situation that we're seeing now? India on Monday saw another huge jump in its COVID tally with 26,291 more people testing positive for the virus, according to the data released by the Union Health Ministry. Now, this is the biggest jump in daily new cases in nearly 3 months. It was the biggest jump yesterday as well with the numbers. There have been 118 COVID deaths logged in that same period, while there are currently 2.19 lakh active cases of COVID in the country. Maharashtra remains the big worry. Maharashtra recorded this year's highest one-day spike of 16,620 new COVID cases on Sunday. So Maharashtra continues to lead that list as the state that is most affected by coronavirus. Well, to talk more about the situation in India, we're joined by Dr. Raj B. Singh, Head of Respiratory Medicines, Apollo Hospitals. He joins us from Chennai. Also, Dr. Hemant Deshmukh, Dean of KEM Hospital, joins us from Mumbai. And Dr. Ravindra Mehta, Chief of Pulmonology and Critical Care, Apollo Hospitals, joins us from Bengaluru. Thank you so much, doctors, for taking time out of your busy schedules and joining us on the show today. Dr. Mehta, first to you, the way the cases are increasing, it's no longer a one-off. This is a definite trend that we're seeing of increasing COVID cases in the country.
Yeah, so I think this is quite concerning. That's why we're all back here to talk about this. But it pretty much reflects the trend which is seen in other parts of the world. You get a stage which is good, and then you start obviously using good to try and open up your economy, your schools, your cohorting, your functions, your election campaigning, and so on. And then you see a spike. So it's pretty much consistent with what has happened in other parts of the world. The only thing is we'll have to take stock of it early compared to the last COVID round and do something concrete about it.
Right. After the festival season, Diwali and New Year's, and we still didn't see a spike. We were hoping we'd kind of cross that bump. But however, now we're seeing those cases going up, especially when we talk about electioneering. Dr. Raj B. Singh, and that's a big worry in Tamil Nadu also. There's a concerning rise in cases, and the state, however, in the midst of electioneering right now, and massive rallies are being reported everywhere.
Yes, I think that we are all concerned about the rising cases all over the world and in India. And I think the same can be said of Tamil Nadu as well. But I think we have to look into the possible reasons for this. And I think there are basically two reasons. One is the potential change in the nature of the virus, and second is the change in people's behavior. And of the two, I would think the latter is far more important because I think even though there have been new variants which have been identified, I don't think that's producing a significant contribution to the increase in cases. I think people's change of behavior, as Dr. Mehta pointed out, is probably the explanation for this present surge. But overall, you would see that the trend is still downward. I think even though there are bumps like this on the curve, there is a downward trend all over the world. And I think we have to remember that when the infection came about, we were talking about flattening the curve. And I don't think anybody was thinking of annihilating the curve. So the curve doesn't become just a straight line like that. It follows certain bumps like what we're seeing now. So neither of these two things, that the virus will have variants, or the fact that there will be some increase in cases when people start to go back to their normal routine. Neither of these two has been unanticipated. I think we do have a challenge in dealing with the patients and trying to reduce the number of deaths and so on.
Right, especially as it becomes warmer and everybody heads indoors. That's another worry. Dr. Hemant Deshmukh, Maharashtra, the big worry, reporting over 16,000 cases. There is a mindset in which many people thought the pandemic was over. What is your view about the variant question? Because this is something that there's been a lot of back and forth on. Are we checking enough among the people who are testing positive for variants?
Gargi, in the afternoon that I was watching the figures, week on week the number of cases that have been detected are steadily increasing in number, and this increase in number cannot be solely attributed to the variant of the virus unless we do a genome sequencing as a continuous process. We will never be able to check whether this spike in the number of cases is either because of the old virus or is it because of the new variant virus. Though, as you understand that this virus will keep on mutating all the time till a break in the chain happens over a period of time. Now, this number of spike that is we seen in the city of Mumbai and Maharashtra, the one factor that we are able to identify is the transmissibility of this virus is very high, which means that originally last year in 2020, the virus transmissibility was not so high as we are trying to see it today. If I take one index case of the virus or COVID patient, there has to be at least 15 to 16 contacts which need to be traced. And here we are finding almost 25 contacts which are actively being traced after one index case.
All right. So Dr. Mehta, in your view, what is it the government needs to do? The messaging needs to be stronger. They're already in Maharashtra, we're seeing restrictions have already been brought back in certain areas.
Well, I think what's going to happen is that we need to look at it very differently from the point of view of a long-term struggle now. We are in for a marathon. Clearly, we thought we had this dash. We're out of the woods now and things are going to be much better. It's not the case. As Dr. Deshmukh and Dr. Rajbir was trying to point out, it's very difficult to pinpoint why. One is, of course, fatigue. We've talked of the fact that people get tired, people are breaking through. And then when we tell people good news, that the numbers are down, then they obviously get a sense of complacency, break down precautions, think life has come back to normal, do not look at newspapers and TV channels and do what they want to do. When we say we're vaccinating well, people feel, well, lovely, vaccination means I can go out. Then comes this variant business, and we're very concerned about variants, because if you see a rapid rise in any place, you're reminded of the UK, South Africa and Brazil where the variants came in. So a combination of people's behavior, government's message, government reinforcing everything in an adruat way, at the same time vaccinating on a Herculean front. Because ultimately we'll be talking of this again and again, but if we don't get the population immune either through vaccine or COVID, we're going to be in deep trouble down the line, having such sessions again and again.
Right, absolutely. And the vaccination drive, unfortunately, I know everybody says, oh, it's going really well, but it's not moving as fast as we would have wanted to. We've only now reached that 3 crore number that was supposed to have happened in the first phase of vaccination, when it was just frontline workers and healthcare workers. And now we're into the second phase, and we've only now reached that 3 crore mark. And we want to vaccinate at least 30 crore by the summer. Isn't it, Dr. Singh? And what do you have to say about the vaccination drive so far?
I think the vaccination drive has been remarkably successful in India compared to many other countries, and I think we have to congratulate the government and all the agencies which have participated in that. A lot of things have been put in place, and I think at least in Tamil Nadu I have seen that the vaccination centers have been functioning remarkably efficiently. So I don't have any qualms about that. It will take time to cover a huge population like our countries, but I think we are going along the right track. Having said that, I think while this is going on, people are still vulnerable and still can potentially get infected. And so I think it is prudent to safeguard all the vulnerable population, the elderly and so on, and assume that the vaccine may or may not work. Because at the moment, the efficacy, even though it is more or less proven, we are not absolutely sure that it will provide 100% security and prevention in the case of this infection. So I think the safeguards will still have to remain in place and the vulnerable population protected. Having said that, I think the time has come to loosen the lockdown throughout the country, despite these upswings here and there. I think the people will have to get on with their lives, and I think schools have reopened in Tamil Nadu, and I think that process is over a gradual period will definitely be the right thing to do.
All right, and we just have to speed up that vaccination drive to get ahead of the virus. Well, we're going to switch to the second topic that we want to focus on, and that is the vaccines. Now, Dutch health officials have said that they have suspended the use of AstraZeneca's COVID vaccine for 2 weeks after possible side effects were reported in Denmark and Norway, so becoming the latest country in Europe to pause the AstraZeneca vaccine. On the other hand, AstraZeneca has said it had conducted a review of people vaccinated with its COVID vaccine, which has shown no evidence of any increased risk of blood clots. The review covered more than 17 million people vaccinated in the European Union and United Kingdom. The World Health Organization too has backed the vaccine and said its benefits far outweigh any concerns, and the UK as well has been defending the vaccine. Many concerns in India, as this is one of the two vaccines that we use here. It's called Covishield in India, the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine. Well, doctors, I want to bring you back here to get your views on this. And Dr. Deshmukh, first to you, what do you feel are they being overly cautious in Europe? Because we've seen, country after country suddenly saying this, but you have the WHO backing it. AstraZeneca has also come out with its statistics, and in India as well, we have full confidence in this vaccine.
Gargi, the learned audience has to understand that the COVID disease itself is fraught with a lot of microemboli to start with. That's the whole idea, that patients with COVID have been started on low molecular weight heparin, that is blood thinners, all the time. And this jab of vaccine which we are going to give, any kind of vaccine, the immunogenicity of the vaccine is going to trigger a small response within the body, and this response from the body can be in the form of microemboli, which can be taken care of the body itself. But these microemboli are of not very clinically significant nature. However, one point of caution here, that the incidence of emboli after the vaccination is much, much lower than the general incidence of embolism, either the pulmonary embolism or microemboli anywhere in the organs of the body is much less.
All right, Dr. Mehta, and your view on this, as you know, many doctors who I've spoken to before about this issue, they're saying that, this is just being overly cautious, and the benefits, as the WHO says, far outweighs any of these incidents.
So there's a general worldwide diktat which will come out, and then there's population-specific issues. The worldwide diktat, based on a humongous amount of experiences, doesn't look like it's a problem. But individual countries who have population-specific issues have the right to figure out what's going on in their populations. For example, if in your community, in your population, with your demographics, you notice a particular issue, then obviously those countries and the regulators have a responsibility to do it. That doesn't mean it's happening in my country or with me. So this sort of, think globally, but look at your local problems is also applicable. And so it's right that those countries will look at their issues. Our point of view, it doesn't mean that we jump, because we have to look at our data. And if it's okay in our population, as my colleagues have pointed out, we proceed in this direction.
Right, and Dr. Raj Singh, initially when we started the vaccination drive, there was some amount of hesitancy being seen. People really did question whether, the vaccine has been produced in such a short period of time, a record period of time. So there were certain doubts among doctors and medical people as well, because they were the ones in the first phase who didn't turn up for their vaccines. Do you fear that, now with what's happening in Europe, again, it'll cause some amount of concerns here in India or some amount of hesitancy, and what would your message be?
Yes, of course, there are theoretical concerns regarding this particular vaccine about the possibility of producing clots. But I have taken that vaccine, so have most of my colleagues, and there hasn't been any problem as such. And I think looking at the benefit of this vaccine, it certainly should be encouraged that everyone should take it. There had been some hesitancy, partly because of fears of side effects, and partly because of the feeling that maybe they don't need it anymore. But I think we will have to encourage everyone to take the vaccine, whether it is the Covishield or the Covaxin, whichever vaccine is available, people should continue to have it. I think the side effects which have been found are not really clearly established.
Right. Dr. Deshmukh, in India, what has our experience been so far? There have been 1 or 2 cases, reported here and there of certain side effects. So for our viewers, if you could just tell us.
In India, or particularly in the city of Mumbai, what we have seen is the COVID-related vaccination drive has been very successful. The associated side effects or complications that we are seeing are not serious enough to warrant any kind of intervention by the state or by the country itself, or by any authorities who are trying to govern the supply of the vaccine itself. But one thing you should understand, that the ethnicity of India is such that the general incidence of microemboli as well as pulmonary embolism is quite low as compared to the European population. So the complication rate in India is almost zero, and I would encourage everybody to go ahead with the vaccine, irrespective of what the data outside India shows. And I think the data from India should be robust once it comes out within the next 3 months.
All right. Well, thank you so much, doctors, for joining us today on the show and sharing your opinions on all these various matters that are concerning right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, with that, time for us to slip into a short break. Coming up on the other side, we'll take a look at India's vaccine drive and see how it compares with other countries. Stay with us. Welcome back. As India is seeing an increase in the trend, the COVID trend of numbers going up every single day. Let's just take a look at how the vaccination numbers are stacked up right now. And India has managed to vaccinate 3 crore people so far. And you can see, what the trend was like earlier in the first phase of vaccinations, when it was only open to the healthcare workers and frontline workers. And then from around here, you had the second phase of the vaccinations beginning. And that is from the 1st of March, when it opened up to those who are over 60 and those who are over 45 years of age with comorbidities. And as you can see here and here, these are the 2 days that we saw India's daily vaccine numbers hitting 20 lakh. That's 2 million vaccinations a day. However, as you can see, on other days, we've been much lower. We've been around 13 lakh, and we really need to increase the vaccination, speed up the vaccination drive if we're going to reach the number that we're aiming for, which is 30 crore vaccinated by the summer, because that is what we are hoping for. And this, even as we are seeing the numbers are going up in all this in various states. Remember, the states that are the worry is Maharashtra, that has seen the numbers going up there. And you can see Maharashtra reporting 16,620 cases in a single day. That's yesterday, and this is the highest number in this year that we've seen, with Maharashtra reporting 16,620, and overall India has reported over 26,000 cases in the last 24 hours, and this is followed by Kerala, Punjab, Karnataka and Gujarat. So these are the 5 states that are reporting the maximum number of COVID cases. So let's now take a look at the other numbers as well, and let's just bring up the top 5 states and the number of deaths that we're seeing. And as you can see, Maharashtra here reporting 50 deaths in the last 24 hours. Punjab is reporting 20, and Kerala 15. Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh and West Bengal have all reported 4 deaths each in the last 24 hours, and it still remains a big worry. So let's just take a look at how India stands globally when we compare with other countries in terms of, and one of the ways to look at it, one is, of course, that the total number of vaccination doses that have been given and the number of people who've been vaccinated. But one way to compare is when we take a look at per 100, how much we have vaccinated. And Israel, remember, is the leader when it comes to vaccinations. It's vaccinated 106.95 people per 100 of their population. So per 100 people, they've managed to vaccinate 106.95, followed by UAE, which is 65.89. Then you have UK, which is 37.15 per 100. Then Chile. Then the US, which has managed to vaccinate 31.61 per 100 people, though it's actually vaccinated the maximum if we see in terms of the total numbers. And then you have India over here, and India has vaccinated 2.15 per 100 persons. So that is how you take a look in that sort of comparative way per 100 of the population. So India really needing to increase the vaccinations. We vaccinated 2.15 per 100 of our population.